Are you ready?
The Philadelphia Eagles are Super Bowl champions.
I was right.
Let's go!
I'm the best.
And here are your hosts, Jessica Town and Rob Lange.
You're a jackass.
Embrace the madness. Happy Wednesday, everybody. Welcome into episode 118 of The Madness. It is February 5th, 2020, 2 years and 1 day removed from the greatest day in Philadelphia Eagles sports history. I am one of your hosts, Rob Lange. Along with me, as always, is Jessica Town. And Jess, what another interesting week in Philadelphia sports. The Sixers have got everybody ready to just lose their damn minds. More things are happening with the Philadelphia Phillies, or not happening with the Philadelphia Phillies, but around baseball. That seems to be pissing a lot of people off, myself included. And the Eagles put themselves back in the news after one of the most extensive offensive coordinator searches in the history. The Eagles have chosen no one to be named offensive coordinator. Instead, they are going to go with a offensive, let's call it a group by committee. They have moved Press Taylor up to passing game coordinator. They have brought in former Broncos offensive coordinator Rich Scangarello and former Mississippi State passing game coordinator, quarterbacks coach Andrew Briner. And they're all going to kind of form a group with Deuce and Jeff Stoutland and Doug, and we're going to have a nice, big, happy family for offense. So we're going to listen. I know that you're all probably waiting to hear about our Sixers takes, and don't worry, they're going to be there. But Jess, let's talk about the Eagles here a little bit and the decisions made here. And you know, there seems to be some outcry as to what in the hell are they doing as far as the offense goes in the Twitter world. But how say you?
I don't really have a problem with it. I was just hoping that we didn't get to this, 3 weeks after. Has it been 3 or 4 weeks? I don't know, something like that, close to a month.
It's all running together.
Because I know Sam and I have been planning our shows for the week, and we go into it thinking, okay, next week we'll talk about whoever the offensive coordinator is, and we've said that like 3 or 4 weeks in a row. But I would have been annoyed if they made us wait this long and waited this long to make a decision, and only were like, okay, Deuce Staley's your offensive coordinator. I would have been like, okay, but I'm okay. I'm all right with it. I mean, am I excited about it? Probably not. I think, especially in terms of Scangarello, he was just with the Broncos, and he was there for a year before they fired him. And obviously the Broncos offense was completely terrible. He was regarded with them as a great play designer and an awful play caller, which obviously he's not going to be calling plays here, but you hope that's a little bit different. Them hiring him, the Broncos hiring him as their offensive coordinator seemed kind of like anybody who's had a cup of coffee with Sean McVay last year got a job. This past year was, anybody who, spent any kind of time around Kyle Shanahan got.
Naturally. Yeah.
So, I mean, that was kind of their thought process, because he was with the 49ers as a quarterbacks coach for a couple of years and then moved on. But I guess we'll see. Ultimately, everything's going to be in Doug's hands anyway.
Yeah.
You just hope that there's a little bit more creativity that comes into it, and a little bit better balance at some points. And they have better personnel, and they utilize it better than they did over the last year.
Well, so Benjamin Albright, who covers the NFL, works basically out in the AFC West, works in Denver. I've had him on the show a couple of times. Someone tweeted to him, when the news broke, he said something, he was talking about, now I can't, what is it?
Scangarello?
Yeah, that one. Scangarello. And he said, someone said, what do you think? How would you grade the hire? He said, if he is there more from a scheme and the design things, but not the call plays, I think it's a great hire. when the first news broke, it broke by itself that Press Taylor got moved to passing game coordinator. At that point, I kind of went, oh, my God, it's just going to be the same guys that were in the building, just take Mike Rowe and Carson Walsh out. And I did not like that. I don't know a lot about Scangarello. I don't know a lot about Breimer. But what I do know is it's two voices from the outside. And part of my thing was always I wanted somebody coming in from the outside to bounce ideas off of Doug so that they can form and they can make some shifts and alternate plays and things like that. You got two guys who have been known in their careers after doing some reading to work well with quarterbacks, to work well with passing game corners and run pass and all that kind of stuff and scheming it. So I don't know how to feel. I'm not like jumping up and down. But when you said it, should we have ever got that way about an offensive coordinator when you knew this guy was really just here to talk about game plan? He was never going to call anything under Doug Peterson.
I think there are a few options that, yes, we would have gotten that excited about.
Who do you think?
Dan Orlovsky would have been one I would have gotten that excited about.
Yeah.
It
looks like they tried and they just couldn't work the deal out.
Yeah, it just didn't work out. Somebody like Mike Kafka I would have been excited about. Someone who got fired after a year for being a terrible offensive coordinator to come in and be part of the offensive coordinating team doesn't really excite me that much. But again, I'm not going to sit here and act like I watched every Broncos game this year and know exactly what that offense looked like. I just know they were terrible, and there was a lot of open comments in the media by players about the play calling, and they fired him after a year and didn't.
Yeah, and so sometimes there's guys that are good offensive minds, but they're not good at calling plays. So you got to hope that he's that kind of a guy.
Right.
And that's really all you need in Philadelphia is that kind of a guy, because at the end of the day, when it's game day and plays are getting called into Carson Wentz in the huddle, they're coming from Doug. They're not coming from anybody else. And newsflash, they didn't when Frank Reich was here. They still came in from Doug. Frank was on the staff. Frank had a lot to say about the game plan, but he didn't call the plays. So, honestly, the important thing is to get the personnel to be able to do the things that the Eagles want to do, which if you watched the Super Bowl on Sunday, if speed is not your top priority right now, especially from your wideouts, I don't know what is, because what you saw on both sides were guys that had fast wide receivers, could get open, get separation, and catch the football, which is also important. That's kind of an important one for the Eagles as well.
That was a lot of it. A lot of people, everything, because Eagles fans can't sit and just enjoy what's in front of them. They have it has to somehow be
naturally.
But a lot of things on social media were, can Carson Wentz make this throw? Can Carson do this? Can Carson do this? And my answer to all of those things is yes. Would Carson make the throw, or would the wide receiver make the catch afterwards?
Right.
Yeah, it's a whole separate conversation.
There were some pretty good catches in that game that I don't know if our receivers last year would have made.
Like it was the one that Jimmy G missed to Emmanuel Sanders. That was the big one that people are talking about. Would Carson have made that throw? Yeah. Yes.
I think
so. Would any wide receiver on the Philadelphia Eagles catch it? Probably not.
Would any wide receiver in the Philadelphia Eagles get that much separation?
Also probably not.
I mean, that plays into it as well. Look, it's not a move that's earth-shattering. I don't know, like you said, outside of a couple names that we might have got excited about, I don't know if anything would have been earth-shattering from the offensive coordinator position. What the Eagles are doing is something you started to see more teams go to. You might, over the next few years, see even more teams, and that is not to have an offensive coordinator if your coach is offensive-minded. Same thing that if your coach is defensive-minded, you have a committee. You don't have a defensive coordinator because your coach,
don't really need one.
Your head coach is that guy. So, they're trying to get in front of a trend. Well, you'll see if it works. I can't tell you one way or the other. And now that the Super Bowl's over, my concern immediately goes to, okay, free agency draft. Let's get the talent in here. Let's do what we need to do to shore up that wide receiver position. There's a chance you're going to have to replace 2, maybe 3 wide receivers on the roster. I mean, depending on Alshon, obviously Nelson's gone, and your 4th wide receiver could be a Greg Ward maybe, but you don't know. You don't know what route they're going to take.
No pun intended. That was good.
Yeah, you like
That's
that?
hilarious. I like that.
You know, your offensive line is going to need. I can't even. Don't. I was trying to just push right through.
No.
No, not going to happen. Your offensive line needs more depth. You know, your Jason Peters is not going to be back. You don't know how. You know, Brandon Brooks is going to be coming off another injury. You know,
He'll be good by camp though.
Yeah.
He'll be fine.
So you know, there's a lot of things personnel wise, and I think starting probably, if not next week, the following week, you know, we'll start doing a lot of that Eagles breakdown of what we need, what we think they need, and stuff of that nature. And you know, that's it. But you know, we mentioned the Super Bowl, pretty good fourth quarter.
Yeah,
it was fun.
The rest of it was pretty boring.
The rest of it, yeah. I mean, it was a weird game. I mean, I had a lot of prop bets on the line. They did not go well.
Why? You shouldn't do those things all the time.
It was fun though. It made it a lot more fun. So let's get angry. I feel like every week we've alternated. It's been like 1 week we're pissed, and they go on a 4-game win streak. Then they're mad. We're mad again.
Depends if they're home or away.
Then they beat the Lakers, and now they've lost 3 straight in this crucial road trip, and they got an extremely tough game and a revenge situation for the Milwaukee Bucks on Thursday night. And also with the trade deadline being right there prior to the game, 4 o'clock, that sort of thing. Look, okay, I know that there's a faction, and the faction has grown by leaps and bounds, and it's warranted. And I know that people want to say they told you so to me, and that's fine. Okay, I can admit that I believed in Brett Brown, that I thought he could get the job done. And my beliefs have been, for all intents and purposes, and who knows, but squashed. It doesn't mean that I'm going to sit here now and go to all you on Twitter who just 2 years ago wanted to start throwing things at the wall and saying you knew basketball and that's how you knew this, and tell you you're right, because I'm not going to do that. Sometimes, and we had this conversation last week when we talked about Andy Reid. Now it's a little bit different scenario, obviously, but sometimes a coach, after X amount of years, the message just gets lost. And I think what's happening is the message is just getting lost due to the frustration. And the frustration comes from a lot of different areas. Winning is obviously the number one. But I think there is frustration with the fit of these guys. And some of them lack the mental toughness or mental maturity to handle figuring out a way. So they mope and they sulk. You know, and that I talk about Joel Embiid when I say that. And I know it's like blasphemous to say. It's you have to be one of two ways in this town. You either have to love everything he does, or you have to want to trade him. Well, I'm sorry, I kind of fall in the middle. I don't love everything he does. I don't want to trade him. I want him and Ben to work out. And for that to happen, what's going to happen at the end of this year, it's not going to happen now, is Brett's going to go. That's what happens in the NBA. Coach has got to go, see if you can work with the talent. I do have concerns about the entire makeup of this team. You know, when you bring Al in and you talk about the bench and how underwhelming they've been, we thought so much more of these guys that are on that bench coming into the year. You know, Mike Scott and James Ennis have been nothing like what they were for this team last year. Your 2 point guards at the end of the bench, Neto and Burke, are nothing. And I know people think Burke's a savior. Burke stinks. He stinks just as much as Neto. I know you don't want to hear it because every now and again he could hit a couple jump shots. Burke is not good. Okay, he's not. Let's just stop this. You I think tweeted out all the people who want Burke. Did you see that finger roll where he hits under the friggin' rim?
That was so funny to me, and everyone was like, "Oh, clearly she doesn't know basketball." I'm like, "Are we watching the same game? Like they're getting their asses whooped by the Celtics right now, and they're looking for. They just put the end of their bench in, and this is like Trey Burke's time to be like, "Hey, I deserve more minutes." And what's he do? Friggin' jack a ball right off the bottom of the rim like an idiot. Just to make it more of an embarrassment of what Saturday night was on national television.
Yeah, and listen to me. The 76ers right now, coaches and players, are an embarrassment. They are underachieving to the highest degree so far. They all need to be held accountable, and that's I think, part of my problem is everyone says, well, the only issue is Brett Brown. Brett Brown is an issue. He's an absolute issue. He's a big issue. But stop not holding these players accountable. Trey Thomas said it best. He said, you have got to self-police a little bit in pro sports. He said everybody does it in every league. So to sit here and just think everything will be fine if one guy's gone, you're wrong. You're just flat out wrong. This team's mentality and makeup is weak. And I'm not saying each player is individually weak. There are some. But, the mentality as a whole is a soft mentality. One of the biggest mistakes Brett made was in the beginning of the season talking about bully ball. Because to play bully ball, you need to have that mentality go throughout your entire team. It doesn't. It just doesn't. And you can't make you can't coach a mentality. You can't.
Yeah.
Guys have to buy in or they don't.
But you can coach. The way you are as a coach emphasizes whether they buy in or not.
Not necessarily.
So necessarily.
No.
Oh my God. 100%. 150%.
These are not
These
kids. These are not kids.
Let me ask you a question.
They're professionals.
Okay.
They're adults.
Okay, that's fine. Let me ask you a question. Have you ever listened to another adult try to tell you what to do of something you didn't agree with and you kind of thought they were an idiot and didn't want to listen to them?
So is that on the coach or is that on the player for not giving it a shot?
Truthfully, at this point, right now, after dealing with the same coach for however long, I put that on the coach.
Okay. If my boss tells me this is how we're going to do things, and I go, I think this is stupid, I'm not doing it. Is that on me or is that on my boss?
At the end of the day, he's your boss.
Okay.
So, yes, it's on you in a sense, but what I'm saying is it doesn't always work out that way.
You built a roster for that. So the roster construction was bad too. And he has a part in that, but so does Elton Brand. Why does no one throw Elton Brand's name in here?
Everyone's throwing Elton Brand's name in there.
I mean, I look at this right now and everyone says, oh, no, this is on Brett.
No.
That's what I've heard.
That's not what I've seen at all.
That is absolutely 100% what I've heard.
Okay, well, I don't know what you're looking at because that's not what I've seen completely at all. Okay. People are throwing it more on the players than anybody else. People are throwing it on wanting to blow up the roster more than anything else. And truthfully, I personally, my opinion is I would rather see Brett Brown go and see someone else try to make this roster work.
That's what happens.
At the end of the day, I said this before the show. I've said this on Twitter. I've said this everywhere a bunch of times. There's too much damn talent on this roster, at least in the starting five, for them to be struggling the way that they are. And people want to go back. I tweeted something at the beginning of the year, and I firmly believe everything that I said in it. Ben Simmons is an elite player. There's no but. There's no but there. Forget the jump shot. Forget that he doesn't shoot threes. I don't care. Everything else he does is sensational. And he's improved at the free throw line, which has made him more confident going downhill towards the basket. And he's not necessarily a liability at any point in time anymore. And he can defend any position on the floor. Okay? Next, Josh Richardson has a 7-foot wingspan, and now he hasn't been on the floor for a couple weeks, and which was unfortunate because he was playing extremely well in that stretch.
I agree.
That stretch, his shooting is phenomenal, and he's a great defender. Tobias Harris, there's no excuse for him not to score 25 points a night. Okay, there's absolutely no excuse for that. But here's the thing: we've watched him do it. I know he can do it.
Yep.
Al Horford, I strongly believe, is one of the smartest players in the NBA. And the Boston Celtics fans were extremely upset to be losing him. And the Sixers were not the only people willing to throw $110 million his way to get them on their team. And Joel Embiid is the best center in the NBA. For some reason, it's not working. And there's no excuse for that. Something has to be done. I don't know what it is, but there's no reason that this should not work in some way. There's no reason that they should be struggling as much as they are.
I mean, no, I agree that they shouldn't, but I don't think Al Horford fits. I just don't think he fits. I think it's a nice thing to think about from the standpoint of, okay, hey, now you have that backup when Joel Embiid's out of the game and all that. And they need to start, I think, staggering him and Joel a little bit more. I don't want them on the floor together as much.
But I am hesitant to jump right into I don't think he fits because I don't think he's being used properly.
That's fine.
So totally agreed with they need to stagger him a little bit more. Like I said earlier, there's no reason that he should be bringing the ball up and just jacking something up from three. There's no reason that should happen.
No, but I don't think that's a play. I don't think the play is, Al, bring the ball up and just shoot off the dribble.
No, but Brett Brown has said openly that he wants Al Horford shooting more threes, and that's a terrible. They're not using him the right way.
I disagree.
So I'm hesitant to automatically go, oh, he doesn't fit, trade him now.
No. Did not say trade right now.
I'm not saying you specifically, just in general.
Yeah.
I'm not, willing to jump right into that until you made these moves for a reason, right? You made these moves because you see what they can do, and if you can make them work, it's a difficult thing to stop. So exhaust every option to make it work before you abandon it. That's my philosophy on life.
But Elton Brand, not just Brett Brown has said this. Elton Brand, they were building a defensive team, a team that was supposed to keep people in the 90s.
Right.
Okay? You can preach it all you want, but if the guys on the floor do not play that way, that is on the players. And giving up 130 points is disgraceful. It's disgraceful. That's the first thing. Secondly, they made a major flawed decision. When they thought they didn't need knockdown shooters around this group. That was a major flaw on the construction of this roster. To think that they could go into, and I'm not saying J.J. Redick, whatever happens there, right? J.J. got more money. They weren't going to give him that much money. J.J. left. It's not even about him. But they made a major flaw thinking, well, if we play really good defense, we'll keep the teams in the 90s. And if you keep teams in the 90s, we're going to be able to score over 100 points with these guys. We're going to win more games than not. Secondly, they said, well, Josh Richardson can shoot a little bit. We expect Tobias. Look, Tobias has to be more consistent shooting the ball. And we could say that that's on the offense if we want to, but there's a lot of times, a lot of games where he's getting open looks just missing. I mean, but that happens.
Sure.
It happens in the league. And once again, I don't want you people to think that I'm sitting here saying that Brett doesn't deserve to probably be fired at the end of the year. I do believe he does. I want that very clear. I'm just saying that I have concerns, and maybe it's going to take a new voice to come in and ruffle feathers, and hopefully it works. Look, at the end of the day, I'm not one of these people rooting for something to fail so that I could say that I was right, like a lot of people do. I want this team to win. I don't care how they get there. I don't care how they do it. And I would love for Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons to be the team that does it, the two cornerstone guys. And I don't want to see either one of them guys go anywhere. And unless it's an unbelievable deal, I don't really see any reason to move an Al Horford either. And I don't really think you can move him with that contract anyway. I just think that this is a lot deeper than just the coach. I think the coach plays a major role. I think the coach will be fired. I think the coach should be fired at the end of the year if this team does what it looks like they're going to do, which is limp into the playoffs and lose in the first round. I mean, that's what it looks like. I don't know what they can add to change that. Granted, you look at the end of their schedule, it's not that hard, so maybe they get a home court in the first round. But regardless, they're not going to surpass the expectations, right? We all set the expectations as conference finals. They ain't doing it this year. Mm-hmm. They're just not doing it. They're not beating Toronto. They're not going to beat them in a 7-game series. I mean, I don't know. Could they beat Boston in a 7-game series? Maybe, but I mean, Boston just embarrassed them. Miami right now is better than them. I mean, Miami's kicking their ass every time they play. It's frustrating. It's very frustrating.
I don't agree with you on the point of the Celtics. Absolutely, they win in a 7-game series.
Yeah, I'm just saying. Yes, they could beat the Celtics. I don't know if they absolutely win against anybody right now.
Sure.
That's part of my problem. I've lost faith. I've gotten to the point where last year and the beginning of this year when they were on, it was I couldn't wait to get home and watch the Sixers. I'm dreading putting the game on right now.
Then don't put the game on.
Well, I haven't. But I didn't. Miami game, I didn't. I didn't put the Miami game on. But I don't. It's not a matter of it's just it's hard to watch right now. It's hard to watch. I love watching everything Ben Simmons has been doing. I really have. I'm not.
He's been spectacular.
Yeah, but I can't. I
tried to tell everybody.
Watching the rest, and it's just it's woeful. It's woeful.
I just think that I think I don't agree with you in the sense of I think that a lot more of it at this point is on Brett Brown. And I think that the eye rolls and the obvious frustration that you see from players anytime he opens his mouth on the sideline at all, or when they're on the bench or anything like that, I think he, in a sense, has made basketball more of a chore for them and less of an enjoyment. You know, Ben Simmons told Rob Motti in September that over the summer, he fell in love with basketball again. And he fell in love with the fundamentals of basketball again. And, I see that from him. You see that from him in his consistent play and the aggressiveness that he has taken to every game. There are games when it looks like he's the only person on the floor interested. And it's because he had a rough year last year in terms of not totally being interested in loving what he was doing.
Agreed.
And that sucks. We've all been there with our jobs at one point or another, right?
Yeah.
You've been there when you're not mentally there. And, sometimes some of it does have to do with the people around you or the people above you.
And I think you said this before, and I agree. I think he didn't like playing with Jimmy Butler. The two of them didn't really coexist on the floor, and that's fine.
Right, and that's fine. And at the end of the day, he's the person that needs to be prioritized over Jimmy Butler.
100% he was.
But they also have to prioritize Joel Embiid as much as they prioritize Ben Simmons. Those two are in this together, and that was something that Ben and Joel talked about a lot last year is like, we have to make this thing work because if we do, it can be scary. And they're right. And that's a focus that I think the team needs to make sure that they consider both of them, not just Ben Simmons. And I just think that right now, some of the rest of the players on this team, they look like they are disinterested.
Yes.
They look like they don't want to be there, and they look like they're not enjoying it. And I think that does have a lot to do with the coach.
Doesn't look like they're having fun.
Because sometimes you just need a fresh voice in there that gives you a spark. At the end of the day, he's been there for 7 years. And granted, there's not a lot of people still there, but it's the same voice that Joel has been listening to his entire time in the NBA. Yeah. And I just think you need to change of pace a little bit. And I don't think, we talked about this too, I don't think Brett Brown's a terrible coach by any stretch. I don't think he doesn't have a place in the NBA. I don't think he won't be successful in the NBA. I just think that he has run his course.
Time has probably run out here. Now, the problem is this. Like, everyone wants to do it today. Everyone wants to fire him right now. You can. It's probably not going to move the needle one way or the other. It's probably going to I don't think they will. I don't think that's the Elton Brand, Josh Harris way. I don't think they're going to make the move at this moment. I think if it was going to have happened, it would have happened right after the abomination that was Monday night in Miami. I don't know. Do you see them firing him before the end of the season?
I don't. Just because expectations were so high. I don't think
do they want to just wait end of the season, you do it, and then you start an extensive coaching search from there? Like, it's not like if you fire him now, you're going to go get his replacement that you're going to sign to a 4-year deal with 30 games left in the season. Like, I don't know if that happens. I don't think teams do that. If they fire him, it's going to be an assistant. You're not going to change much right now because there's 30 games left in the season.
Unless you go get like a Fizdale or something randomly to hold you over, but I don't think that's the way to go halfway through the season. Like, I don't think.
No. Normally, you fire a guy halfway through the season, you have a guy be your interim, and then you move on from your interim, and that's it. And that's kind of you take the L on the season. And I'll be honest with you. Joshua Harris isn't going to do it from a financial standpoint, because the minute you do that, people are not going to show, because they're going to be like, oh, well, that's the end of this. Even as bad as they're playing right now.
People are
going to show up
at home.
And you're still going to have a playoff series where you have 2 playoff games at home and all that. And, it's taken a lot of the luster off of this season, I think, which is the most frustrating for all of us. I think we had such high hopes for this year. And I don't see it. I mean, look, could they make a move? Could they make a run? Could they get up to a 3 or 4 seed? I guess anything's possible in the NBA. But I don't know how anyone could say that with confidence right now with this team. I mean, where could you possibly be confident in anything that they're doing from the coach's standpoint, from the player's standpoint?
Every night I'm confident in Ben Simmons.
But
he can only do so much when he's out there playing 1-on-5.
Is it going to make that big of a difference when Josh Richardson comes back? I can't imagine it makes that big. I mean, does it make a difference? Yes, it makes a difference. Does it make one that all of a sudden this team's going to ramble off 12 straight wins? No. It's just not. I just don't think it's in the cards this year. And we have to just kind of. It's a season that we're just going to have to get through the end of it. Coach will be fired. Very justified. Very warranted. Doesn't mean I'm happy about it.
This doesn't mean I'm not going to hold out hope.
I know you're going to hold out hope. That's why I was kind of hoping that you had a little bit more hope than you did. And I'm kind of pissed off. I'm like, Jesus.
No, I still have hope. I'm not going to quit on my Sixers. I'm not going to do it. I'm absolutely not going to do it. I'm still going to watch every game unless I'm teaching.
And don't get me wrong. I am not going to be happy at the end of the year. I'm not going to be like overjoyed when Brett Brown gets fired. I didn't want it to end this way. I don't think you wanted it to end this way. I think we just understand that it's going to have to end this way.
Be successful. And I just thought that I think they did the right thing by Brett Brown in the sense of, giving the man, he all of a sudden, he went through the process. He was the guy that dealt with, the Sixers who had no business even winning 10 games when they did. And then all of a sudden you come out here and you win back-to-back 50-game seasons, 50-win seasons. And the Sixers haven't done that in however many years. And I think he deserved the chance to coach a real roster and have a real roster for a full season. He deserved that.
Yeah, the people that say they made the mistake, they should have fired him last year. You're wrong.
That's dumb.
You're wrong. You're incorrect.
I think they did right by him, which is something the Phillies didn't do. You know what I mean?
Right.
I don't disagree with it, but and it's the same thing. I wouldn't have disagreed with them firing Brett, but I think they did the right, at the end of last season. But I think they did the right thing by Brett, and I don't think it was the wrong choice not to. I just,
It is what it is.
It is what it is.
Out. Professional sports, sometimes your decisions work, sometimes they don't.
Look at the Eagles.
And I think
look at the Phillies.
When we talk
look
about
at all of them.
we talk about Al Horford. I think one of my fears, and it's a very sick and twisted case of irony, is it reminds me of the Elton Brand signing when Ed Stefanski threw all the money at Elton Brand, right? We were all like, oh, man, this is going to be really good. And it wasn't. Now, I'm not saying that it's going to play out that way, but you got to admit, there are some ironic similarities between that. And now it's Elton making the move and signing the bigger old guy, and it's just not working. It's kind of like, damn, don't do this to me again, because that was pre-processed. That was Ed Stefanski just throwing friggin' money at everybody. Willie Green getting $40 million. And that was like the dumbest of the dumb moves. Don't forget, that brought in Eddie Jordan and the Princeton offense. And that was really where I was like, I hate the Sixers maybe forever now. Eddie Jordan is – you want to talk about a dumb coach? Eddie Jordan is the dumbest coach in Sixers history. Holy God, that guy pissed me off for the 2 years he was here, whatever the hell it was. God, do you remember how bad that was? It was like there was him, then Randy Ayers, then Jim O'Brien, then Mo Cheeks, and then Jim O'Brien came back. It was like, what the hell
it wasn't
are
interesting.
we doing?
There were like a couple years in there where I feel like every time I turned on the TV, there was a new coach.
Just going over that.
And then there were then the couple of years following, every time I turned on the TV, there was a different roster. Completely. Not just one part, a different roster.
Damn it, we should be thankful for what we have. Look at us.
Yeah, that's the whole point. We should be thankful for that we're having this conversation about.
So, Brett, let me be the first.
Oh, damn it. They're not going to make it to the finals this year like we absolutely thought they were.
Brett, let me be the first to thank you on your way out the door, because it was a fun couple of years. It didn't get to where we wanted it, but you know what? It was a lot better than Randy Ayers and Eddie Jordan and Ed Stefanski and Willie Green getting $30 million deal.
Oh, God.
I mean, am I wrong? No.
I've blocked that all out.
I did too until this moment, and I can't believe
look what you've done.
I've ruined everything.
You've brought it back
everybody.
up again.
So look, they're not going to win tomorrow. I mean, Milwaukee is
stop
going
it.
to beat.
You also thought they weren't going to beat the Lakers.
Milwaukee is going to
You also thought they weren't going to beat the Nets at home.
Do you remember Christmas? No, I picked them to beat the Nets. That was our man Austin said that they weren't going to beat the Nets. I had them winning that game.
I don't know about that.
I had them winning that game.
I don't think you said that out loud.
Because you didn't allow me, because you started talking and I couldn't get it out. But anyway, But here's the funny thing, right? If they do beat Milwaukee, say they come out and what does that say? It tells me I can't figure this team out.
I think that's just what we have to accept.
Like, I want to be able, at this point, I almost want to say, I just want to know who you are. Are you a team who's quit on your coach and you're not listening? Or are you a team who can still play and do good things and maybe can do something here to end the season? I don't know. I just don't know. And it's more
I think they need the All-Star break. I think they all need to take a vacation from each other.
100%. I think the All-Star break is coming at, I wish it would have came a week earlier, to be honest with you, but it's coming at
I think
an
they
okay
need
time.
to just take some time.
Is Milwaukee the last game before the All-Star break?
No. There's a whole week.
Damn it. But they go home,
The All-Star break
right?
isn't until next weekend.
But they go home. They get to play a couple home games.
They get to come home.
Which is a little different, although it could be
But they
ugly.
need to go.
It could be really ugly.
I think this is exactly how it needs to happen. Ben and Joel need to go to the All-Star game together. They need to spend some time together and just...
Their girls need to go shopping together.
Not even that. They need to spend time. The two of them need to just be together.
I think Kendall and what's her name need to spend some time together. Did you see Kendall Jenner and Ellen, by the way?
No.
It was actually really funny.
No.
Did you watch the show on Netflix, Cheer?
I haven't yet.
Yes.
I want to.
I am man enough. I'm looking you dead in the camera. I watched it. It's great TV. It's excellent TV. Very good.
No
very,
one
very
was
good.
going to say anything
No, they were
about
going to judge me. They were going to judge me.
No one was going to judge
People
you.
were going to
Almost
judge me.
every player in the NFL has tweeted about watching
I
it.
know. I loved it. Damn it. It was fantastic. I think Dennis was going to say something. He kind of had a little smirk. I think you good? No, Dennis.
No.
You watched it? You got to watch it, Dennis. That's good.
I really want
to
to
watch Cheer, man.
I've heard it was good. It's literally like Last Chance U, but it's cheerleading.
Yeah, but it was really good.
Yeah.
And so the one day I'm scrolling through Twitter and Kendall Jenner's on Ellen, and they basically had her talking about when she was a cheerleader in high school, and they brought out a few of the Navarro cheerleaders, and they had her like they were doing stunts, but she was like in like a pantsuit. And then they brought out Awkward Andy or whatever the one guy is, and then it was a really funny skit. You should go back and watch.
I'll go look.
Now that we all
we
all love Kendall.
I don't like her.
I love
really,
you. I love you, Bendel.
Hashtag
Bendel.
She must be really good at something because her personality seems like it sucks.
What are you alluding to?
You know exactly what I'm alluding to. Like something about her has to be fantastic because she seems like really has just like a crappy personality.
Yes. She is doing something to Ben.
Okay, see, now you're getting too specific.
That changes the mind of men. That changes the mind of men.
I just said she's got to be really good at something or something about her has to be great.
And
because
then you said
her
you know damn well. And then
doesn't
your
seem
quote
like
was, you know damn well what I'm talking about. So don't act like you weren't going there too.
She doesn't seem like that wonderful of a person. I don't know. She just seems like kind of an asshole.
Oh, man, that's fantastic.
But anyway.
That just made my day.
I'm glad.
Thank you.
But no, I really do think that like Ben and Joel need to just spend some time together and just be like, this is you and me. We have to figure this out. And the rest of them need to get as far away from each other as possible and just not talk to each other for a couple days. I think that's the best possible thing that could happen for them.
I think if Brett's going to be a rest of you, I think Brett and Al Horford should go into a room for the entire All-Star break and figure it out and let Al basically tell Brett, this is how you have to use me. And Brett should listen. I do. I don't think it will happen. I think that Brett needs to listen to Al Horford, and I don't think he will. And that's my problem.
He's not going to because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what Al Horford wants. Joel Embiid still has to be the priority, and they have to fit Al Horford in around that in the correct way to use Al Horford, but also in a way that makes Al Horford happy.
Right, but that's what I'm saying. So
that's all.
That needs to be the conversation. But
I don't. But so here's the thing. Truthfully, I don't. Al Horford's not vocal enough to the point where I know where him and Joel. I know where Joel kind of stands on it. I don't know where Al's sort of standing on it. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. Absolutely.
So that's kind of where I am. I just Ben and Joel need to spend all of their time when they're in Chicago and they need their dinner time. They need to be together.
Be best friends.
But yeah, they need to be roommates in the hotel. They have to spend every minute together that they're not on a basketball court.
Make them handcuff themselves to each other.
That's what we need.
We should see if we can talk to the Sixers about making that happen.
Someone needs to just make sure they spend a lot of time together, and the rest of them need to be as far. None of them are. They all go on trips. None of them are allowed to go to the same place.
No, you all
different countries. All of them, all over the place.
And some of you can stay there, and I'm okay with it.
Who are you saying should stay somewhere?
I don't know. Anybody on the bench outside of Matisse Thybulle can stay.
Yeah.
And Furkan. Got to keep Furkan around, baby. Got to keep Furkan.
He still makes me so angry. Watching him makes me so mad.
I've grown to love them.
I still haven't. I want to. I want to so badly. But he just makes me so mad.
I feel like I have to just love them. I don't know. I just feel like I got to be on the Furcon train. I feel like we got to create a group of, Furcon's freaks. I don't know. We have to create something for Furcon.
No, because you see what happens when people do that about players?
Yeah, they start to stink.
It goes downhill.
Yes, it does. Why does because his name's Owl. I hate the wolf growl when he makes a shot and they play the wolf sound at home.
Well, that's how his name's pronounced.
That's stupid.
That's the man's name. Like, what are you going to do?
I don't like him.
Okay, you don't have to like him, but that's still his name.
Don't like Trey Burke either. You brought it up last week. I was all about getting an upgrade for backup point guard. You got two guys that basically
you might as well have
TJ
kept
McConnell.
TJ McConnell.
Yeah. It just makes no sense.
At that point, seriously, you might as well have kept TJ McConnell because I'll tell you right now, TJ McConnell damn well would have kept this team together.
Yeah.
TJ McConnell would be keeping everybody in check right now, and I firmly believe that.
I'm not mad at
Hot take, losing TJ McConnell was the biggest loss the Sixers suffered in the offseason.
Okay.
Tell me I'm wrong. Seriously, tell me I'm wrong.
The biggest loss?
Yes.
From a leadership standpoint, you're saying, I guess?
In general.
I don't know. I don't think I can say that. I think Monty Williams was a bigger loss than TJ McConnell.
That was 2 years ago.
No, that was...
Oh, no, I'm sorry. That was Lloyd Pierce.
That was Lloyd
and Monty
Pierce.
Williams just happened.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I can't keep track of all of these things.
All right. Well, now I want to get even angrier. Can we get angrier for the last... By the way, this is an abbreviated show, The Madness. We're only going till about 4:30 today. At Philly_Madness, at Run This Town with an E13. Make sure you're following the podcast. Search The Madness with Rob Lange on iTunes, on Spotify, wherever you listen to your podcast, and then obviously on the YouTube channel on The Painted Lines, The Madness with Rob Lange and Jessica Town. You can catch us there live. You catch all the episodes. Make sure you are doing that. As always, we are coming from the DETV studios now here in Wilmington, Delaware. I mentioned him. Dennis is here helping us out. Thank you very much, Dennis. Doing a great job. And just a little bit so that you're not sitting around waiting like I know you normally do on Wednesdays. There will not be a show next week. No show next week. I got a scheduling conflict. Got some things taking place at home that I got to handle. I got to handle my business in a sense. So no show next week. We'll be back in 2 weeks to be angry, sad, happy, whatever.
We don't know.
I don't know anymore. I just don't know. The Philadelphia Phillies are a week away from pitchers and catchers, I believe, reporting down the Clearwater. And I hate them. I hate them. I hate Matt Klentak. I hate John Middleton. I hate the whole front office. I think they're a bunch of jokes. I think what they're doing is a slap in the face to us. I think every time I see the Phillies sign and then see a minor league deal with some no-name guy or a guy that's been hurt for the last 4 years, it's ridiculous. When I see that big market teams are doing what it takes to take the next step, and they sit here on their hands and try and tell me about a luxury tax 1 year after telling me they were all in to win, 1 year after having Bryce Harper go out there and say, I firmly believe the management here will do whatever it takes to put a winner on the field, to now handcuff yourself is an abomination. And if you think that I'm going to sit here and get overjoyed and really, really excited about this season, you're wrong. Am I excited to see Joe Girardi? Yes, I am. I'm excited for that. Am I interested to see how Zach Wheeler and Aaron Nola do as a 1-2 combo? To a certain extent. But you sold me the 3, 4, and 5 guys that I didn't want to be sold. You really are telling me that Scott Kingery's going to continue to do what he's always done, which is move around the diamond. You did nothing to your bullpen, outside of a couple minor league contracts. So I don't mind if they would have said from the get-go, we're just not spending money, like last year, right? Okay, well, I'm be pissed, but at least but you spent the money you did last year, and then you don't. I mean, did they follow it up? You tell me. Am I being too overcritical?
No, because the rest of the division's getting better,
and you're not.
The rest of the MLB is doing things to get better, and the Phillies are just kind of sitting here, being the Phillies. I can't say all that about the front office because we still have like friends in the front office from when my dad used to work there. So
sorry to all those friends. That's not who I was talking about. I was talking about
like
the people
Bucks, like the Buck family.
Yeah.
Like
I'm talking about the people you're not friends with in the front office. That's.
It was actually funny because Dave Buck's son plays basketball with Sahikin, and they played GA like at the beginning of the season, and he came up behind me and was like, "What's your last name?" And I was like, "Town." He goes, "Yeah, Dave Buck." And I was like, "Hi, Mr. Buck. How are you? Haven't seen you since I was little child."
Maybe you need to talk to Dave.
Dave's hilarious.
I know. Tell Dave to step it up. Not him to step it up. Tell these other guys.
I know.
Dave, I love you.
I don't.
Not that you're watching.
I don't know. I just like.
Maybe
it's just frustrating. I don't know.
Maybe it's good that we don't have expectations because the last 3 seasons that we've had expectations did not quite turn out the way we really wanted them to go.
I mean, that's true, but it's also just like a giant annoyance to not be able to. Like, I would prefer to get excited. I thought I was done not getting excited about the Phillies.
I agree.
Because I love the Phillies and I love going to Phillies games and I enjoy watching Phillies baseball. That's like one of my favorite things to do in the summer.
And what's going to frustrate
not when they
me,
lose every time.
And what's going to frustrate me is it's another year into the Bryce Harper deal, a deal that we all said by the end of it isn't going to be great. But, you know, you have a whatever the year 4, 5, 6-year window. Well, now year 2 is going to come and probably go with nothing. On top of that, you know, we don't think about it this way enough. It will have almost been a decade since the last time the Phillies were in the playoffs. It's going to be 9 years.
Everyone's thinking about it.
I didn't even put it in that perspective that they have gone back
They're
to
retiring
sucking.
Roy Halladay's number because it's been 10 years since his perfect game. They're doing it on the 10-year anniversary of his perfect game.
Oh, man. This is sad.
10 years.
This is sad.
I kind of want to go.
I'm sad.
Because I think it'll be good. They're playing the Nationals that day, too. It'll be a good game.
That's great. That'll be when Chris Bryant is hitting home runs on us because he's a Washington National and he's not a Philadelphia.
And that's the thing. All the Phillies tickets are on sale, and I was like, oh, I want to go pick out a game to go to. They're home on Joe's birthday. Like, I was like, oh, we should go. And then I'm like, do I want to buy those now? I mean, granted, they're only like $15,
right? But seriously, like, why wouldn't they just make this move for Chris Bryant? You get the guy for 2 years. Him and Bryce are like BFFs, like love each other BFFs, like grew up together, didn't they?
What's the package for him again? What do they want? What was the talked about? What was it, Kingery?
The one that I saw was Kingery, probably Baum, and you might have to. You wouldn't throw Howard. My guess is you go Kingery, Baum, and maybe Medina, maybe Bryson Stott on top of that. 4 guys, you know.
They're not going to do that though. That doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense to do because they depleted their farm system so badly. Now part of their focus as they go on has to be building it up again, because if they do all of that in one trade, then what happens if Chris Bryant leaves and then you have nothing to show for it and you still have nothing
But all
there.
these guys have been here and have been here while we've said they can't develop talent. And to me, okay, there was a great article today on Dom Brown. And
I saw it. I didn't get a chance to read it though.
And how Dom Brown was once touted as better than Mike Trout. And he's now back in the Philly area as just like a coach or whatever the situation is. But listen, I understand a Spencer Howard, starting pitcher. We know that that's a weakness. We know that that's a guy that we want to get up and see what he could do and develop. I'd go Medina, Kingery, and Baum. I would do it. You get 2 years of Bryant. Maybe you re-sign him at the end of it because at that point you're now really contending all the time.
Yeah, but how?
You're not going to pay Segura at that point. McCutcheon's going to be off the books at that point. So guys are going to be off the books.
But it's not a matter of off the books then. It's not having somebody to replenish at a young age because you don't have anybody left, and now you're focusing on bringing in guys from elsewhere that.
But you have 2 years to build. You have 2 years to build a guy. Like, Baum's not going to stay in the minors for another couple years.
No, I know
but
that.
Would you rather have, on this version of the Philadelphia Phillies, unproven Alec Baum playing third base, even though he probably won't be up here right away, or Chris Bryant?
I mean, obviously you'd say Chris Bryant, but at the end of the day, like...
I just wish they would do it.
I don't...
Like,
I don't disagree.
They're not going to do Arenado. Okay, they're not going to do Arenado. You know that. That's going to cost way too much. But he could end up
But
in
what's
Atlanta.
cost way too much?
Well, he might be 4 or 5 prospects, Arenado, because he's under contract.
You just listed 3.
Yeah.
So you're okay giving up 3, but not 4?
Yeah. Depending on the positions, absolutely. Bryson
See,
Stott.
to me, that's stupid.
Well, if you give up Medina, first of all, Kingery's not a prospect anymore.
No, we're not talking about Scott Kingery.
Well, he's got to be in the deal. I don't know if they do.
No. I understand that, but in terms of listing prospects, obviously, I was not talking about Scott Kingery.
No, I'm saying they will never give up 5. I don't know why they wouldn't give up 2 prospects in Kingery. I don't know why they wouldn't do that. As long as it's not both Howard and Baum, because Howard is so close to probably cracking your roster. I just listen. And the thing with Kingery, I like the guy, I like the kid, but if you're not going to play this kid at second base, we talked about this before. I don't love him in center field.
No,
I don't love him as a third baseman. I like him as a second baseman, but if you're not going to play him there, why not? I don't know. They frustrate me.
It'll be interesting.
They frustrate me, and it's just for me. It's another year where I can't get excited in spring training because I'm just like, I just feel a little let down. I do feel a little let down right now from the Philadelphia Phillies.
I feel like it was expected though, so that's your fault for feeling let down.
Yeah. And I want to try and get into the Flyers, but I know as soon as I start watching the Flyers, they're gonna start losing again.
They're just very hot and cold.
Yeah.
So I watch them, and if they win, they win. If they don't, they don't. Carter Hart's still hurt.
What's happening?
He's
what
hurt.
happened? No, not with them. Just in Philly.
Oh,
we were in such.
We sold our soul for a Super Bowl, and here we are.
And I watched the DVD last night and smiled for an hour, and then realized, oh wait, this already happened. It's not happening.
This
right
isn't
now.
real life.
This isn't real life. Damn it! It was at a time.
Not right now.
So.
Oh well.
Sixers win tomorrow night.
Yes.
Really?
Yes.
Are you gonna say that after every game?
Yes.
Even though you wanted to fire the coach?
Yes. I didn't say I wanted to fire him.
I know.
I think he needs to go. I think he needs to go.
That's understandable.
I think it's run its course.
I don't want to put you in the category of some of these twidiots, as I call them.
I don't ever sit and call for someone's job. It's not something I do. It's not something I want to do.
Oh, I can do it. I've done it.
I don't want to do that. I don't want to be that person because they're humans too, and they have to do a job just like the rest of us. They have families, they have people to feed, they have people that rely on them for that job, and they have to live their life. I understand that. So I'm not going to sit here and freak out and scream that he needs to go, or that I want him to go. I just think it's run its course.
Yeah, well, we shall see. Big couple weeks here for the Sixers. We'll see if they make any move. You think they add a bench piece, or do they just stay status quo?
I really don't know because I don't know what they can give up to get at this point.
Well, what you think is as it gets closer to the deadline, someone maybe takes their offer. Maybe it's not the best offer, but it's the best that they can get offered, and they take it, and you move on, and you go with it from there. And, you add a piece.
We'll see.
Whoever you add, it's got to be somebody that can score the basketball, though. I will say my happiest news of Sixers Twitter was seeing that Robert Covington got traded to Houston yesterday. So because I just didn't know. That was not going to help them. It wasn't going to change anything. It wasn't going to do anything. Not that anything is, but that really wasn't. It was just going to infuriate me more.
I was pretty surprised that they actually were willing to move Clint Capella.
Yeah. Atlanta's going to be interesting to watch. Obviously, they're not going to make the playoffs this year, but Trae Young and Clint
care less
Capella,
about Atlanta.
They beat the hell out of us.
Listen, the Sixers had no business winning 10 games in 2016, and somehow they still won 10 games. So, but I like Clint Capella. The only other offensive option they had was Clint Capella. Like their offense is like their offense was twofold. It was like James Harden jacks up 50 shots, or just lobs one to Clint Capella.
The tweets today about PJ Gordon having to play like 35 minutes as a center, or not PJ Tucker having to play 35 minutes worth of center. People are making like crying baby memes, and it's PJ Tucker when D'Antoni tells him he has to play center for 35 minutes.
I couldn't believe they actually moved him. That was a perplexing move to me.
I never know what Houston's doing.
I don't know. I don't really know.
Does Robert Covington give them a little bit better defense than what they're probably accustomed to? Yeah. Does he?
But he's not going to give you better defense than what Clint Capella was offering at his position. I don't understand.
Does he add to their scoring? Not you have
no,
two guys
because
that
someone has to pass him the ball.
Yeah, you have two guys that dominate the basketball.
I don't get that. I had a venti iced coffee last night at like 7:00 because I was teaching in Delaware last night, And on my way down, I was
2
getting
trips to Delaware for you.
Yeah.
This week,
This is only my second of the week. I have a third one on Saturday morning.
huh?
But I was teaching last night, and I was like kind of sleepy on my drive down. So I was like, all right, I'll go get a coffee. I didn't need that coffee, so I did not sleep very well last night at all. I slept for like an hour and then woke up and was like, wonder if there was a trade that happened. I don't know why I had that like feeling, and I was like, let me look at my phone. And then I was like, half blind because it's this bright light at 2 a.m. And I'm like, oh my God, what is going on here?
Mm-hmm. Do the Sixers, if they make a move, do the Sixers do it at 2 a.m. so none of us know it again?
I swear to God, if that happens again, I'm going to lose my mind.
That was the most annoying thing in the world. Did your phone just ring?
No.
Oh, wasn't my phone. Oh, okay. We're good.
But yeah, they need a shock, and I don't know if they can do anything that's going to give them a big enough shock.
No, outside of firing the coach at this point, and like we said, I just don't think it's in their nature to do that right now.
I just also don't think it's really smart to do it right now.
And I don't think it does anything. I don't think it moves the needle one way or the other. I think you are who you are, and unless you send a shockwave trade that no one's expecting right now, it's not going to happen, and we're going to have to move on. So, all right, we'll end the show there.
Sounds good to me.
Okay, we're going to be back in 2 weeks. We want to thank everyone for tuning in on YouTube. We want to thank the Painted Lines. Make sure you're going to thepaintedlines.com. We want to thank DETV in the studio, Dennis, for helping us out here today. Once again, search The Madness with Rob Lange on iTunes and Spotify. You can catch us there. Catch us on YouTube, anywhere else. At Philly_Madness. At Run This Town with an E13. Please check us out on Twitter. Start following us, subscribing, all that fun stuff. We'll be back in 2 weeks. Don't know how we're going to be. Happy, mad, sad. Doesn't matter.
We'll see. It'll be after the All-Star break, so.
We're going to be embracing the madness.
We're taking our All-Star break.
Yeah, we're taking our All-Star break. You embrace the madness. Have a good couple of weeks. See you soon.